我这边钱暂时拿不出来。然后他不愿意等了，然后他就自己就是做这个引产手术。
我怀孕到显怀这期间，我爸爸妈妈那边左右邻居都看着，哎，他们家姑娘好像离婚，现在又有大肚子了，来来回回的换单，突然间有一天又说不结婚了。
你是同意吗？知情吗？
我知情，但是我不同意。
都有商量，也是需要他去签字同意的。
你是希望这个小孩是要生下来是吗？
但是呢，我希望，但是他那边要钱啊，钱拿不到，他就不可能跟我结婚，跟我生小孩。
In a recent dowry dispute, a man from Fuzhou, married for the second time, refused to pay a dowry of 220,000 yuan, which led the woman to opt for an abortion. Tingting, 35 years old, was cautious about love after a failed marriage experience. However, in August of last year, she met a Liang, a divorced and single man, and they quickly fell in love. When Tingting became pregnant, Liang began delaying the wedding arrangements. Tingting revealed that Liang's family had promised a diamond ring worth 220,300 yuan, but the money was invested in financial products and could only be withdrawn at the end of December. However, by the end of the year, Liang changed his version about the money. Tingting felt that Liang's family was not transparent enough and, as a result, chose to terminate the pregnancy. She mentioned that the dowry should not be considered a necessity for marriage and that both parties should be honest. She emphasized that marriage should be based on sincerity and mutual respect and expressed the hope that such disputes would become rare in the future with pure love.
Not much. A 100,000 yuan dowry is really not much. Spending 100,000 yuan to marry a daughter-in-law is worth it. Today, I overheard an aunt who is about to be a mother-in-law talking, saying that an engagement requires 100,000 yuan, plus the 3 gold items. And she looked very unhappy, complaining that the daughter-in-law is asking for too much. What's there to complain about? Let me break it down for you. If your daughter-in-law can accompany your son for 40 years, at 2,500 yuan a year, 2,500 divided by 365 days. That's 6.84 yuan a day. From the day your son gets married, you're paying 6 yuan a day to hire someone called a daughter-in-law to take care of his daily life. Have children. Raise the children. Educate the children. Take care of the elderly. And her family doesn't complain. Why are you complaining? When I got married, my dad said, "What's the use of raising a daughter? It just adds another marriage to the family." At that time, I wasn't happy hearing that. Now that I think about it, it's not entirely unreasonable. When it's time to spend money, it's from the family of origin. When it's time to make money, it's from the husband's family. When I needed care as a child, it was from my family. When I grew up and could take care of others, it was with my husband's family. A woman spends the best part of her life with her husband's family. And what she owes is to herself. The dowry from the family of origin. Women, if you don't want it, people will think you're paying to marry. The man's family will think their son is capable and resourceful. And married without spending any money. They'll think you're worthless. And nothing at all.
I noticed that some people are really interesting, spending all day linking dowries to feminism. But in reality, dowries and feminism have nothing to do with each other. The dowry is a product of feudal society. If society as a whole abolished the dowry, no one would think about dowries anymore. If marriage were based solely on love, that would be a true opposition to feudalism. But I bet a lot of people wouldn't have the courage. Because at its core, they don't want to abolish the dowry. Nor do they want to oppose feudalism. What they really want is what? To marry for free. Don't believe it? Then look at those who want to abolish the dowry, eliminate the objectification of women, and those who want a zero-cost marriage. These are clearly 2 different groups. These 2 groups each say their piece. But honestly speaking, abolishing the dowry does not necessarily mean marrying for free. Because if the dowry is abolished, many people simply won't be able to get married. So I think abolishing the dowry is still a good idea. Because that way, girls would have the freedom not to get married. And what about the parents of the girls? Don't think they'll be able to extort money to help the son. Everyone does it this way. Getting married for love. Isn't that great? Now, if you don't have love, you can simply choose not to get married.
A girl asked me, why do men have such a strong aversion to the dowry? From an objective point of view, I support women demanding a dowry. But from a male perspective, I really dislike the idea of a dowry. Many people ask, why do men oppose the dowry? There are many reasons, but generally, we can categorize them into 4 main situations. First, do you really deserve to demand a dowry? This is harsh, because many times when a woman demands a dowry, she sets a clear price. But many men feel that you are not worth that dowry. At this point, many women become angry, thinking they are being objectified. First, when you demand a dowry, you are already objectifying yourself. So men will naturally evaluate you materially. At this point, feelings no longer exist. There is only a transactional relationship between the parties. And in this situation, there is something even more unpleasant, which is that the man will lower the woman's value. For example, if she is pregnant before marriage, the man will automatically reduce the dowry, because he feels she has no choice. He feels she cannot live without him. So he will naturally negotiate a lower dowry. The second point is the emotional contamination state, because the relationship should be about feelings. But once the topic of dowry enters the conversation, people start doubting the relationship. Many people believe that feelings should come first. And when the material gap between partners is larger than the emotional one, they start calculating the benefits. The purity of the feelings disappears, and they begin to doubt the relationship. Once doubt arises, they start questioning their partner. Both men and women end up doubting the love. The man thinks, if you want the dowry, then our relationship has been contaminated. And the woman thinks, if you don't give me the dowry, you don't respect our relationship. So, often, with these kinds of thoughts, the two sides will never understand each other, because they have different perspectives. The third point is the loss situation. This is related to human nature, because whoever pays feels the most. When the man pays, he will naturally resent the dowry, not because of the difference between men and women, but because of the imbalance in the act of giving. Many women say, I will return the dowry. But you need to understand, giving the dowry and returning it are 2 different things. Some women say, the dowry is my guarantee in case of divorce. I can't be left with nothing. And the problem lies right there. Because the man is already paying for the house, which means he has no guarantee, creating a feeling of unfairness. The simplest explanation is, when someone makes a contribution without receiving anything in return, he will naturally resent it. The fourth point is when the family is really struggling financially. The dowry is a reasonable amount, not too large or too small. But if it is necessary to take that amount from the family, life will become difficult. It's not that the situation is extremely hard, but he simply cannot take out that money, or needs to borrow. It's hard to say that it won't affect life, but who wants to live in debt? At this point, the priority is not marriage, but ensuring survival. When someone faces survival issues, the first choice is not to pursue marriage, but to ensure their own survival. Once they secure their survival, they will naturally give up on marriage. Regarding the dowry issue, actually, there's no need for the couple to grow in this regard. Neither the men nor the women need to evolve. It's something that parents should discuss. You only need to express your wishes to your parents. The rest is up to them. Because what parents discuss with each other is interest, not feelings. You both take care of your own love. Leave a comment below and share your thoughts.
Marriage without a dowry. More unhappy or happier? A real story will tell you. Hello, everyone. I'm Liang Mo. In today's society, the marriage rate is clearly declining. Many young people who want to marry are blocked by exorbitant dowry prices. And many couples break up because they can't agree on the dowry, as well as many families who end up going bankrupt trying to gather the dowry money. The root of these problems comes from the custom of requiring a dowry for marriage. So, after all, should the dowry be required or not? Let's take a look at Tingting's story. Tingting, a college graduate from Hebei, fell in love with Jun, her college classmate. She was impressed by his appearance and personality. After graduation, they started living together for 2 years. Tingting thought it was time to get married. It wasn't good to continue living like this without an official commitment. She also feared what others would think, always thinking that her reputation could be affected. But Da Jun always avoided the subject. When Xiao Ting got upset and asked him why, if he wasn't interested in anyone else, he never talked about marriage. Da Jun denied it. But after Xiao Ting insisted, he revealed that his parents were very poor and didn't have money for the dowry. Xiao Ting was surprised and said, "Ah, so that's it. It doesn't matter, as long as you really love me." She spoke to her parents and decided that she didn't want a dowry, since she was the cherished daughter of her parents. They not only didn't ask for a dowry but also gave 60,000 yuan as part of the wedding gift. On the wedding day, when the guests arrived, some relatives and friends asked, "How much dowry did the bride receive?" Da Jun's parents proudly answered, "My daughter-in-law didn't want a dowry." The relatives began to praise, "Wow, Da Jun is lucky." But behind the scenes, they started to comment, "Does this girl have a problem? No dowry, and they're so poor. Isn't it like getting a wife for free?" These comments, indirectly, diminished the value of the bride. Many people believe that if the daughter-in-law asks for a dowry, it can lead to resentment with the in-laws, and that she will be unhappy in the future. But what if Xiao Ting hadn't asked for the dowry? Would she be happy? Let's keep listening. After getting married, Xiao Ting and Da Jun returned to the city and continued living in a rented place and working. Soon after, Xiao Ting became pregnant, quit her job, and gave birth to a daughter by cesarean section. Her mother-in-law moved in with them to take care of her and the baby, helping with the postpartum. Honestly, the relationship between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law is quite difficult. Xiao Ting knew that if she lost the mother-in-law, it would affect her relationship with Da Jun. So she was always very careful. But still, small arguments started to happen. Every time there was a quarrel. When Da Jun came home, his mother would sit on the floor, hit her legs, and cry loudly, saying, "Da Jun has forgotten his mother after getting married." These familiar words made the couple feel lost. Less than a month later, they sent the mother-in-law back to her hometown. 2 years later, Xiao Ting became pregnant again and had a son. It was a joyous occasion. But when the baby was born, Xiao Ting found out that Da Jun had cheated on her during her pregnancy. It was like lightning on a clear day. Xiao Ting was devastated. When the in-laws found out about the affair, instead of reprimanding Da Jun, they asked their son, "Do you want a divorce? Are you going to stay with your first wife or the second one?" They said, "Feel free, we support whatever you choose. After all, you didn't spend anything to marry her. If you divorce, it won't be a problem. You can marry again without spending much and without needing to throw a party. The children can stay with the mother. We don't need to worry." They had already planned everything. In fact, Da Jun knew he was wrong. He didn't want a divorce. But how could Xiao Ting forgive him? She asked for a divorce and got custody of the children. She and the children continued their lives alone, sending Da Jun and the in-laws back to their homes. There were no assets to divide, no bank accounts. So the divorce was simple. What did Xiao Ting gain from this marriage? A union without guarantees and a failure. Do you think that, by not asking for a dowry, the in-laws will be grateful? You're wrong. They may thank you, but they'll soon forget it. They'll think it was all their son's merit, and you just tried too hard for nothing. Human nature is like this. When the partner changes their mind, it's even worse. They have no commitment because they invested nothing. They won't value it. And your life will be without guarantees. You'll have to take care of the children. Move on with life. Facing harsh reality. Behind the dowry is value and responsibility. For the man, it represents consideration and sincerity towards the woman. For the woman, it's a way to repay her parents' care and guarantee some security for the future. The man's dowry and the woman's wedding gift are a way to preserve dignity and provide economic support for the new home, helping to ensure a better life for the new couple. And it's a 1,000-year-old tradition. But today, many women are distorting this tradition, using the dowry to get rich, which brings great problems to many men and affects society. Will the government create laws to regulate the dowry issue? The dowry cannot be required without limits. The woman cannot ask for too much. This is my opinion. On the other hand, the man also shouldn't be stingy, not giving the couple conditions to have a good life. That's everyone's goal. And our final goal. What do you think about this? Leave your opinion in the comments. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.
Why are most men unwilling to give a dowry when getting married? To be honest, it's not that they don't want to, it's that they really don't have money in their pockets. But they can't say they don't have money because they're afraid that if they say it, you'll leave them. So they can only ask if it's possible to reduce the dowry. If a man has money and still doesn't give a dowry, you can curse him with bad luck. Because intentionally delaying someone else's youth is equivalent to causing harm for financial gain, which deserves punishment. For example, if his monthly salary is 10,000 and his annual income is 120,000, asking for 100,000 or 80,000 for a dowry wouldn't be a problem. But some men only save a few thousand yuan a year. Most of the money is spent on you, buying you bags, cosmetics, and good food, transferring money to you, giving you red envelopes. He only has a living expense of a little more than 1,000 yuan a month, and often eats a 10 yuan box meal by himself. Most of the time, he grabs a quick bowl of noodles from a roadside stall. Some people, after a busy day, end up skipping meals and only eat 2 instead of 3. Every time he eats, he still has to give the boss a portion of the meal. Since meeting you, he has lost more than 20 pounds in a year. He works hard every day, drinks with clients, laughs with leaders. If he doesn't do well, he gets scolded by his boss, but he still has to smile and accept it. Before going home from work, he has to adjust his mood, hiding his frustration so you don't see it, making you think he's always happy. But deep inside, his heart is broken. He doesn't have a dowry, and he wants his parents to help a little. However, the down payment of 500,000 yuan is from his parents, which is basically all their savings. His parents have already been drained, living at home eating salted vegetables and thin porridge. Every time his parents call, they tell him not to worry, that they are doing fine, and to take care of himself. They urge him to eat well and not be too frugal, but his son, with tears in his eyes, says everything is fine. He and his girlfriend have a good relationship, and she's good to him. But of course, he can't let her know the hardship. It's just the bitter result of not having enough resources in their own family. However, if you think the other party doesn't give a dowry because they don't love you, that's wrong. You can only say they haven't met your hard requirements. So don't bring love into this. If you say you won't marry unless you get a dowry, then you'll just force him to borrow money. Who will he borrow from? A young man doesn't know many wealthy people, and his circle is mostly filled with poor people. He has no choice but to take out an online loan, or even worse, ask his elderly father to lend him money, putting his dignity on the line to borrow money for his son. His father is unwilling to lend him money, and the son can't force him to kneel and beg. But if you say he's not striving enough, that so-and-so can do it, why can't he? Girls, it's important to understand that it takes time to build success. He's not the lead in a movie who can just step out with a gun and have unlimited money. I'm not defending men, I'm just pointing out the objective fact that the man might simply not have the money. Some girls might say that if they had the courage, they wouldn't want a dowry. But they're afraid that if they don't, the mother-in-law will make life difficult, the children will be left with them, and the husband won't come home. They'll end up with nothing but a messy life. The man doesn't have money for the dowry, and the woman wants it for a reason. The truth is that both sides are struggling. They both know how hard it is to make money. Borrowing money equals eating dirt. Borrowing from others is like sitting in a saw eating dirt. Of course, some people have no shame and will take money regardless, but most people still have their dignity. I've always supported giving a dowry because marriage is about love, and love is the most important thing. If something can be given, then give it. If it can be bought, then buy it. But money doesn't magically appear just because someone opens their mouth. You can only do so much with what you have. If it's really not possible, then maybe find someone else. The idea of dowries has become distorted, and when someone can't find a partner, they attack women for wanting money and not getting dowries, saying it's because the man doesn't love them. Do you know why the country is cracking down on extracurricular tutoring institutions? Do you know why the housing market is being regulated? Why are some places allowing 3 children? One reason is that many people are no longer willing to get married. Hey, I'm not unable to get married, it's just that marriage doesn't seem to bring me any benefits. The only benefit seems to be that it makes certain things legal, but that's about it. Life is meant to be lived happily, and happiness isn't just about having a house, a car, a husband and kids. A house comes with utilities, and cars need gas, cleaning and maintenance. Kids need after-school classes and tuition fees. And that's not even including the toys, clothes and food they need plus the mortgage. Every month you could be spending 10,000 yuan. And when you only earn so much, that's not enough to feed a dog, let alone afford hot pot. Honestly, going out for hot pot feels like celebrating Chinese New Year. Who's really happy under these circumstances? I'm not complaining, I'm just trying to explain something to you. The videos you see online of people making millions are made by people who earn barely 10,000 yuan a month and are just working a regular job. They are burning the midnight oil writing scripts they themselves don't believe in, but they do it to make a living, even if it means deceiving others. Marriage is about creating happiness together, and that happiness isn't bought with a dowry. Did you understand? If you're feeling confused about relationships and don't know how to properly recognize things, go watch my first video and learn more. Or feel free to reach out to me, I can help you. I'm the one who understands you best. Much.
There are always women complaining. Why do some men now refuse to pay the dowry? When it comes to the dowry, their attitude changes. First, it's important to understand, men don't hate the dowry, they hate the high dowry. Let me give you an example to explain this better. Imagine a 22-year-old man starting adulthood, earning 8,000 a month. If he starts dating, he might not be able to save anything over the next few years. If he doesn't date, he avoids traveling, rarely goes to expensive places, doesn't attend shows, doesn't go to comedy shows, doesn't buy new clothes. And if his underwear tears, he'll keep using the same ones. Maybe, in the eyes of some, his life seems dull, but only he knows how hard it is to save money in a world where the pressure to succeed is overwhelming. Otherwise, he is treated like nothing, not even like a dog. This is the standard society imposes on men. To save the thousands of yuan needed, he basically spends all his youth in loneliness and frustration. And the money he manages to save ends up being swallowed by the endless pit of the dowry. I ask you, is that fair? If marriage meant just paying the dowry, it would be easier to accept, but the reality is different. Besides the dowry, there are also costs for the car, house renovations, appliances, the wedding itself, the engagement ring, the honeymoon ... For each of these things, the man has to pay, which ends up draining the budget of any average family. And now, they still want to ask for more guarantees for her. I ask, who will guarantee his security? We are all independent individuals. If he has the ability to make money and ensure his own security, it should be his responsibility, right? Moreover, outside of China, which other country practices the dowry? If it's so reasonable, why not promote it worldwide, right? What do you think about this topic? Leave your opinion in the comments. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. See you in the next video.